This is Mark Whitten.
This is Adam MacArthur.
This is Ann Yatko.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Yurchak.
This is Erica Harlicker.
This is Daquan Wilshire.
This is Rico Fajardo, and you're watching.
And you're listening to Spoiler Force Podcast. Set your heart ablaze.
All right, so this is episode 140 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky, and thank you for tuning in. So it is the final episode of 2022, the end of the year or end of 22 recap episode, which I will be going over pretty much what I've done throughout the year, as far as like a little bit of my personal life to, the conventions, meeting guests, or the podcast updates, and just what I've been doing in my life. It's still pretty surreal. Like a lot of this, or at least a lot of what I have done, has happened within this year. So it's gonna be quite a bit. I have notes here on my phone, so if you see me look off to the side, I'm reading my notes here. I don't think I'll be able to touch up on exactly everything that I've been doing. I may get like a little bit, in a sense, philosophical at some point, where I'm talking about points in my life and maybe go off on different tangents, but we'll see. I'll try to keep this as contained as possible without veering off too much. And I'm also trying to at least speak a little bit slower. I've noticed that since coming back on the podcast stuff, I have been speaking quite quickly, or a bit more faster than I usually do. It's definitely a bad habit of mine because I do think a lot quicker than I speak. So I definitely need to change that up for 2023 and start speaking slower, and having more pauses when I speak instead of like racing my thoughts all at once and trying to get it all out. But yeah, let's just start with this. I do just want to say thank you to everyone who has been watching, supporting, sharing, liking, and then whatever you do on social media to help a content creator. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart, to all of my fans, my followers, my day ones, especially my family. Going through like a lot of the bullshit that we've gone through this year, it's been extremely hard on not just myself, but like for my intermediate family, my mom and my sister as well. And if you guys don't know by now, my dad actually passed away by way of, they say COVID, but he had other health issues that stemmed because of COVID. So he passed from COVID back in 2021. So kind of going through the motions of that still today. It's still pretty rough. I don't usually talk about it too much, or at least on the podcast. If you know me personally, I do talk about it from time to time, but it's not like something I bring up. So going through that had really set back the podcast and the plans. And then right when everything was getting better, I lost my big brother, Hmong. He passed because of COVID as well, but he already had leukemia, and having COVID kind of just made things worse for him, and he passed because of that too. And it's just sad because it was exactly a year and 1 day after my dad's passing. So both of their anniversaries are coming up in the next couple of days, and it's gonna be pretty tough kind of to just take it all in. And then and then tomorrow, or at least from the day of this recording, tomorrow it'll be 1 month since my dog passed away too. So it's pretty tough to kind of just go through the motions here and talk like everything's okay. And it's pretty, I've said tough so many times, but it's difficult. But yeah, starting off the year like that in 2022, having my big brother pass away, and then just when I thought I could just get over the 1 year hump of losing my dad, and then he passes. And then if you have not heard of him, or at least seen him, he was in the movie Gran Torino. He was one of the gangsters. That's something I always love to brag about to my friends when I was in like middle school. I actually have like several episodes of just me and him talking. I believe it's episode 6. With we talk about his Gran Torino experience because of the 10-year anniversary of the movie, and then we just get his thoughts on like a lot of other topics. And then we talk about Demon Slayer, at least for season 1 and parts of the manga. I think that was like episode 21 or 22 around there. And then the Spoiler Force Famcast, which is something I need to do again with my family. But the Spoiler Force Famcast episode, he was in it, and that was the last episode I had him in. And then oh man, it is tough just thinking about that, because when we did that episode, um I was very close to just quitting the podcast overall. Like, I think it was just a couple of weeks or so after my dad passed, and I was done, like, with everything. I was just like, after the funeral and all of that, just trying to get back into the motions of things, or at least find some sort of normalcy again in my life. I couldn't do the podcast anymore because of that. And then he was like, "No, man, Ricky, go on, do it. Do the podcast. We'll have the other cousins on. We'll geek out with you. We'll talk about Demon Slayer and The Promised Neverland, and I'll have my Twitch community come in." And so it was really encouraging, especially hearing it from him, because he's not the type to really do that. Or at least for me, when I was growing up, he never really encouraged me, or like threw positive things at me. It was always a lot of things. Was always like jokes. He would make fun of me, but not in a bad sense. We joke around and clown on each other, but I've never really had him, at least growing up, he never really like, it's like, "Yeah, you can do this, man. I believe in you." He was never that type, but then he'd always like come through whenever I had asked him for help, or if I needed him to talk about something. Like, he had his own odd way of showing some sort of positive reinforcement as a big brother to me. So, tough love, I guess. But yeah, he encouraged me to not quit. And so even though I go on hiatuses on this podcast, I don't have that mindset to quit anymore because of that. So just kind of reeling it back, after he passed, it was kind of tough to kind of go through life again, because it was like, it's like history repeating itself. Like, it was just weird. And so, just shout out to Lee Mong and his family, and to my nieces and nephews, or my nieces and nephew, just the one nephew. And yeah, I love you guys very much, and condolences to you guys again, and anyone who knows Lee Mong, or the Lemon Dome family, or the Lemon family on his Twitch, thank you guys for supporting them too through their hard times. But yeah, after going through that in the beginning of the year, around like mid-February, me and my mom went to Oklahoma with my uncles. They have a big old farm down there. They're growing products and stuff like that, or produce. And so we were helping them out. And then me and my mom, we had this like heart-to-heart conversation, where like she told me, like, "I can see that you're not happy here in Oklahoma." And obviously, because it's secluded and we're like so far from the city, we're like, the closest town was like 15 to 20 minutes, and it was super small. Like, it was like from like a movie, just like one McDonald's, one Walmart, a few couple gas stations, and that was it. Like, there was nothing too big. It wasn't like a suburb back in like East Point, or back in like Warren, Michigan, around there. Like, at least in those small suburbs, there was places you could go, and it was there. But living in a small area, like a country area in Oklahoma, that was not helping my psyche. It was not helping me mentally. um I was not in the greatest. I mean, I'm still not in the greatest health, but I was a lot worse, to put it that way. But thank you to my mom and to my uncles for understanding my choice to coming down here to Texas. If it wasn't for my two uncles, my uncle Art and my uncle Mike, I think going through what I went through would have been a lot and very much more harder. They're the closest things I have left of, I guess you could say, what's of my dad, because they both practically grew up knowing my dad. So it's kind of this weird dynamic where like they both have parts of my dad in them. They were kids when they met my dad for the first time, and they have bits and pieces of my dad, and it helps me to and it just makes me really appreciate both of them, because they were there for my family when, even after the funeral, like after everyone went home, after the burial, like after the Vang side kind of went home, they both stayed. And it was like almost a week. They stayed with us, and that kind of comfort, you can't find that anywhere else besides in family. So I love you, Uncle Mike. I love you, Uncle Art. Thank you both for being in my life. And if you guys ever watch this episode, just know that I love you guys very much, and I'm sorry for doing things or saying things to y'all that was kind of out of pocket. So I love you both a lot. But yeah, I decided to move to Texas because me and my cousin Michael, Art by Kooky, he's been on the podcast more than a couple of times, like several times already. We talk about reviews and geek out on here too. And we were talking about like rooming together at his place because he doesn't have like roommates, or at the time he didn't have roommates. And so I moved in with them around February 20th, around there, like almost towards the end of February. Settled in, set up the podcast. If you follow my Instagram, you can kind of see like the outline of my journey on my Instagram page. Just like you can kind of see just like my first initial setup and stuff like that, excuse me. Drink some water. You can see my initial setup, just moving into that my like a room for my own room, having my own space. Like this is like the first time I've actually moved out of like my own house and my own comfort. Like moving to Oklahoma, I still had my uncles, and my mom would come every so often. But now I guess it's kind of embarrassing. I don't know. I find it embarrassing to say like I moved out finally. So when I actually did move out, I really felt like I was on my own type of deal. Like it's not like I didn't have anyone, but I'm officially just like not with like my family no more. So moving in with Michael and settling in, and I felt the hospitality from the get-go. Michael was super accommodating to me. We went to cons together. He let me stay for like I think he let me stay a little bit longer than I should have, only because like when I moved in, I was trying to find a job, and I didn't get the first job I applied for. So I was like living with him for like a month without a job, and it was frustrating because I was looking for a job so hard. And I worked at where I am now, and I lived with Michael up until like a few weeks before Thanksgiving. So thank you again, Michael, for letting me live with you, and just throughout from the end of winter to all the way to like mid fall. I guess for like those almost 9 months. Um, we went on like all these cons together. We experienced getting press passes and getting to work at exhibitor tables. Thanks to JJ, Onigiri Graphics, she helped us experience our first time like helping sell artwork, and also helped Michael with his stuff. Like Michael wasn't even doing this stuff when I first moved in. We were just still in the plans of like, how can we grow the podcast, or how can we get him to start his art journey. And excuse me, a lot of things just gradually fell in together. If it wasn't for like meeting Philip, one of Michael's friends, like if he didn't come help us the first time, or come with us to Nishi Fest, we would have never met JJ. And without meeting JJ, we would have never gone to Kamea and experiencing our first like exhibitor table. And JJ was super, super nice about like, because she knew that we were trying to get press passes, but certain cons weren't giving it. So we would, like the first two that we went with her, like she let us go with her, and then we did pay her for our part of the table. That way it'll help her, and not like we're freeloading her. But JJ was super nice about it, and she really helped open the door for Michael too, to kind of start doing his exhibitor booth and like experiencing his first sales. Going to like to Nishi Fest and meeting Rico Fajardo for the first time, and meeting several cosplayers and other good voice actors, to going to which con did I go to? Again, if you want to follow like this storyboard, just look at my Instagram feed from the beginning of 2022 till like now. Meeting, I met Rico Fajardo, I met Caitlin Glass, I went to Collecticon, I met Leah Clark, I met who else did I meet there? I met the voice for Shinso from My Hero Academia, Gerard Green. going to Kamea meeting Mo Lowry for the first time in person. He was on. I love talking about like meeting Mo Lowry because he was on the podcast before I was doing video recordings. Like he was just on audio with me. We were just like practically talking through the phone to each other, and he was just so cool. Like he recognized me right away, and it was like the coolest thing because I've seen his growth from like him making a lot of the comedic bits on his Facebook page, and doing like a lot of reaction videos to anime, and then meeting Daquan for the first time. Like this dude was like on my bucket list to meet, and I met him twice this year, and you know supporting him on his YouTube and Twitch, and like just being recognized by a content creator that you follow is like the craziest thing. Now I kind of get like why fans go crazy when they meet their idols or when they meet their like content creators or musicians that they love. Like it's like that sliver of recognition is pretty crazy. Just meeting Daquan, being able to joke with him. I don't know him personally, but like just knowing each other through like through Twitch or through YouTube or just meeting at conventions, like being able to just joke with him, like where your mom's at, like and talk about like the stupid things that we did on Twitch. There was I don't know if I forgot if I talked about this or not, but at KameaCon, I was walking around grabbing food, and Daquan was walking around. He saw me and he came by, and we spoke for like a good 15 minutes or so. We were just joking, clowning, talking about the Twitch group, talking about all like the members in there, and the wild things, and it was just so surreal to me because like when you meet people of that caliber of like who are accomplished content creators, like where they don't have to work a day in their life besides making content. That's the kind of goal I want to achieve as a podcaster or a content creator. Like like Daquan may not be like at the millions, but his community is just so strong that like it makes it seem like he has a million followers. And he's got to network and do like and work with other big content creators. He was on Fresh and Fit before they hit I think they're already at 1 million subs, but like he was with them when they were coming up. He got to meet RDC World and talk with them, and do and meet Griffey and all that stuff. So he's networking with a lot of great people. So just being able to talk to him about that and hearing his experiences from starting from literally the bottom, and from his crazy jail stories to his grandma mission to where he's at now, being a father to his kids. It's insane to see how far he's come. And that's why like when I met him in person, it was just insane. Like you follow this guy on your phone or on your desktop, and then when you meet him, like he's really the exact same person. That's why I really respect him as a content creator, because it wasn't like a facade, or it wasn't like some sort of act. What you see is what you get, and that kind of like inspires me to be more, I guess, not too wild, but like just to be able to like don't like not to not be shy when I'm doing my content. I tend to hold back a lot when I'm like talking on the podcast or when I'm meeting new people. I'm really reserved, but like seeing how wild he is, just like not so much in person, but just like on his when he's doing content, like he lets everything out, and then when you meet him in person, he's just very quiet. It was just really cool to meet him at KameaCon and at DreamCon. Even at DreamCon, I got to meet Peter Kalamis, who does the voice of Rolf from Ed, Edd n Eddy, and I got to meet the actress for Android 18. I met Robbie Damon for the first time. He's a voice actor I really respect because his accolades are insane. Like he's an incredible actor. And then going to like Acon this year, I got to meet Ann Yatko, Mark Winton, Adam MacArthur, all finally in person. Like these were like guests on my podcast that I finally got to meet. It's not like where you just get a guest on and just be polite and say, "Oh, I want to meet you one day." Like I literally, not even a year later, got to meet them in person, and it was just so cool to see them and talk to them about like the anime and being on the show. And Anne and Mark left a huge like confidence boost, I guess, for myself, just because they were just so nice about you know uh everything. And Anne was super nice. Like she hooked it up for me with like with an autograph and taking pictures of there. And I had to support. Like, it wasn't like I was going to take a freebie from her. I still purchased it. I took pictures with her, I think 2 out of the 3 days. And then I got her to sign quite a bit of stuff. Excuse me. I also got to meet Erica Harlacker. I also got to meet a bunch of good artists at Acon. And man, I'm drawing blanks here because like there's so many small events that I went to. It kind of just like all merges up. But like meeting a lot of these new artists, from these conventions, like it was hard not to try to reach out to all of them and get them on the show. I got quite a few of them on the show throughout the year, but it was just more so like I didn't want to pressure people to be like, hey, I gave you a card to be on my show. Like I don't want to force people to do that, but it's definitely very cool to see like how far or like how many people go into the con market or the circuit and just like being able to network with all these people. Also going to like Fan Expo or Dallas Fan Expo or Fan Expo Dallas. Shout out to Dana Cobb because she was definitely one of the best like press people that I spoke with. She was like, yeah, I like the stuff that you have, that and she was just really interested in the content. And then like she was very accommodating when the first time going to Fan Expo Dallas, and she's like, if you need any help, I can help you. And we went there as press for the first time, and me and Bobby and Michael, we went and we got to take pictures with like a bunch of cosplayers again and meet some voice actors. I got to meet Midoriya the voice of Midoriya, Justin Briner. I got to meet Clifford Chapin, the voice of Bakugo. I met I took photo ops with Elijah Wood and the actor who plays Mary, Dominic Monaghan. I think that's how you say his name. I took pictures with them, and oh man, there's so many highlights like to this year, because meeting James Arnold Taylor, JAT, was like one of the many big highlights of this year. And for some of you who may not know, I'm a huge Final Fantasy X fan. Like I die on this hill that Final Fantasy X is the best Final Fantasy. I love the story, I love the music, but meeting James Arnold Taylor in person was so crazy, because I was geeking out so hard and I couldn't even say anything to him. Like he's just so nice, very outgoing, and just hearing him talk, you can hear the voice of Tidus from Final Fantasy X. And so I shook his hand. I'm like, dude, I love your work. Like I relate to Tidus so much on a personal level, and the way how you brought this character to life means the world to me. And he was just so cool. I gave him a card. I really doubt that I can get him on this podcast, but if I do, it'll be so fucking awesome, because him and Rob Paulson are the 2 actors on my bucket list that I have to have on this show before I quit or before I die. I want them on Spoiler Force. Like I could quit happily if knowing that I can have both of these guys on the show. I'll quit having those 2, just to have those 2 on my podcast. But I guess it's not time yet, right? Because they haven't been on my show. But I really want them both on my show. So if anyone who's listening and knows how to get me to get Rob Paulson or James Arnold Taylor, please help me out. But yeah, meeting him was just super, super cool. I got to see some of the cast for Cobra Kai. I didn't meet them, but I saw them from afar. It was really like, just because it was right when, like, what is this, season 5 of Cobra Kai, before it dropped, and they were there. So I got to see the guy who plays Hawk in person. He was really skinny. Compared that, he's skinnier than I thought. Like even on the show, he looks skinny, but in person, he's even skinnier than that. Oh, I do want to shout out to Crack Brisket and iGirl LaShawn too. I forgot to mention them. These 2 guys have been like the coolest people I've met, that like outside of conventions. Like they were at Nishi Fest, but like outside of cons, like just their food is phenomenal. I love talking about and bragging about them. I share their stuff from time to time. The iGirl LaShawn stuff is, I would say, sorry, Crack Brisket, but I like iGirl LaShawn a lot more. They're the LaShawn is just so good, and the fact that this going to Nishi Fest the second time, getting like extra of the LaShawn was the highlight of that day, because I was just joking with him. I was like, hey, why don't you hook me up, and I get what, how much is a whole slab? I was willing to buy a whole slab, and I was like, and I'm just joking with him. He's like, I'll hook you up, and he gives me like almost a quarter of a slab, and it was so much food. I'm surprised that me, my cousin Michael, and Philip even finished it. But yeah, shout out to those guys. I had to plug you guys in. I do plan to buy one of your trays one day, like whether it's for a holiday or just because. But yeah, shout out to those guys. Make sure you guys follow them. After Fan Expo Dallas, we went to, or at least I went to, what did I do after Fan Expo Dallas? I think it was DreamCon right after. DreamCon was after that, and DreamCon was a convention that was on my bucket list for a long time, because I had to at least go there once just to experience a convention just for content creators. Like, there was voice actors and all that stuff there. I met what's her name? I met I'm drawing a blank on her name. She plays Becky on Spy Family, and she's also the voice of Aharon on Aharon-san. Damn, let me look that up. It is bugging me right now. Yeah, but she's also friends with Brianna. I'm drawing like on their names too. There's just like so many names to go through. So give me a few seconds here. She's friends with Brianna. Uh, Brianna Roberts. That was her name. Why did I blank on it? Brianna Roberts was the voice of Miranjo, and so her friend, he plays the voice of Becky on Spy Family. Yeah. Oh shoot. Yeah. So I have this charger on my desk here, and so give me a second. Oh damn it. What is her voice? Danny Chambers. Danny Chambers is the voice of Becky on Spy Family. She's also friends with Brianna Roberts. That was the first guest at DreamCon that I met. Her and the voice for Takemichi, AJ Beckles. I met them both at DreamCon first, because we were helping JJ out. So it was really cool to just meet them and talk about like Spy Family and Tokyo Revengers, and just kind of geek out about like our thought. Or when I talked about Tokyo Revengers with AJ Beckles, it was just really cool to talk about Takemichi, because he's not the conventional hero. He's kind of like a wimpier version of Midoriya. But he was, there's a lot of screaming and crying in Tokyo Revengers. So we were just talking about that. And, we even talked about like some of the manga and the upcoming season. Just gave our thoughts on it. But like, it was just really cool to hear him talk about like being the main character, and hear his thoughts on Takemichi. But day 2 of DreamCon, like again, we were helping JJ out at her booth. So we were just like trying to meet like a bunch of different content creators. Ozzy was there. I forgot. Yeah, Ozzy. I met Ozzy at KamiyaCon too. But we met Ozzy. Ozzy even helped out JJ. He bought a few things from her, and then we met Cleo Thomas, the actor, the actor who plays Zero from Holes. He's on All Deaf Digital. He does like his podcast, or he does a podcast, I believe. He also works for like Patrick Cloud and does like acting on the side. He was in the My Hero Academia LA. It was like a live action skit, a short film on YouTube that he was in. He played the villain. I mean, it was just so surreal meeting him too, because like I watching All Deaf Digital, like I followed all those comedians and all those content creators for a long time, and to finally meet Cleo Thomas in person, I was so starstruck. I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth trying to ask him about like the My Hero skit, working with Patrick Cloud, and just going to like conventions and stuff like that. So he was really nice. He even cosplayed at the event as well, and I got to meet Jimmy Zhang for the first time. I didn't even know that was him. I just recognized his face, like, hey, I'm a big fan of your content, and took a photo with him. And it wasn't until after I realized, like, holy shit, that is Jimmy Zhang. So it was cool to meet him. It was very quick. He was busy. A lot of people were taking pictures with him. A lot of like content creators who weren't even on the guest list showed up. So it was pretty cool to see that. Again, met Daquan again at DreamCon, which was a much better experience. It was just so crazy to see the DSG community just like all surround him in that area because he doesn't have his own booth. He just walks around like a casual attendee. So that's what makes it so funny. And it was just really cool to see like that community all get together. And day 3, I was just so exhausted at DreamCon. I almost thought of just not going because I didn't think I'd meet RDC World. But on day 3, thank God I went. I met Caleb. I met Caleb City, and then I met King Vader. And then right before the day ended, RDC World was at their t-shirt booth selling their shirts, and that was so wild because another content creator, I forgot his name, but he was there too. But like I think they just did it was just before their dodgeball thing, I think, or their gaming tournament, one of the two, and it was so packed and so wild. People were like chest to chest and like bumping in each other. I got my pictures in and I left. Like I took pictures with Desmond was the first one I took a picture with, then Leland, then Ben, then Dylan, and then John. I didn't get Al. I didn't get a photo with Al because he was on the other side, but then I took a photo with Mark, and it was just so cool to finally, even for those brief moments, just to say like I got to see and meet RDC World, and that's off my bucket list. Like that, I did it. I went to DreamCon. I met them. I'm good. I know that they're gonna have their next con in Austin, I believe. I don't think I'm gonna make it to that one just because it's quite a drive. But if I ever go to Austin, I'm gonna try to see if I can find Joe Rogan and try to. I don't know. I'll probably get killed by him, but like I would like to run into Joe Rogan one day since I'm here in Texas. If you want to start your own podcast like Spoiler Force, then sign up with Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout has helped hundreds of thousands of users like me to begin their podcasting journey. With easy-to-use tools, you can effectively get your podcast onto different platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and more. You can view your stats, create audio clips, and even have your own podcasting website. Buzzsprout offers ideas, tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you improve your podcast. Follow the link below, and once you sign up, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. This will let Buzzsprout know that I sent you and will also support Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want a simpler way to record both video and audio for your podcast, then sign up with StreamYard. StreamYard is the perfect program to create podcasts, host live streams, and even do video calls. There are many tools that can help you create and design your own personal studio. You can screen share, read live comments, and stream to different destinations like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also download your video and audio once you're done with your recording session. Follow the link below, and once you sign up with the basic or pro plan, you'll earn a $10 credit to use for StreamYard. Happy podcasting. But yeah, after DreamCon, I think it was such a high like peak or like a high spike of energy or like adrenaline. I had a big fall where it wasn't even a plateau where I just lost like a lot of momentum after that. Like I think I was just so burnt out from that, and I still went to small cons here and there. I went to the Louisville Mall, the Louisville City Mall. They had a small little convention there. That's where I got to meet the voice of Toru from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. What's her name? She plays Power now, which is really cool too. But she's very nice. Let me just pull up her name here. What is her name? Damn it. Again, so many names are running through. Sarah Wiedenheft. I met her. I got to meet Sarah Wiedenheft, and that she was like a bucket list voice actor that I wanted to meet for a while too, because like I'm a big Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid fan. So being able to talk to her about that, and then also like hearing her like talking about My Hero, because she plays Pony on My Hero Academia, the American student. So I got to talk to her about like how's it like to voice an American student on My Hero Academia, but then it's in dubbed anyway. So we got to like joke around about that, and she also voices Zeno from Dragon Ball Super. So it was really cool to kind of just finally meet her and stuff like that. And excuse me. Yeah. So after that convention, I think I kind of chilled out for a while. It was right when like I just stayed focused on like trying to meet or I guess network with more people, and I was able to just relax a bit more after that. And I think I didn't start picking things back up until like Game of Thrones came on HBO, and I remember watching that, and then like Um, that review episode was kind of, I'm gonna be honest, that review episode I did for Game of Thrones was kind of weak. I honestly was still not in the right mindset to come back and podcast. And then just right after that, that's when my mom and my dog Nini came to Texas to visit, or I was gonna dog sit for my mom since she was gonna go to California. And then that's when I moved here to where I'm currently at now with my cousin Bobby and with Lynn. Um, they were very open to having me move in with them, like being in their guest room and stuff like that. And it was closer to work, so moving here has been um, easier for me just because of driving wise and just commuting wise. But being able to kind of still make the best of everything, like you can see all this setup here. Bobby did all of this, like the making the panels look even. Um, he helped me out with a lot of things. I feel bad because I put so many holes in the wall, and it didn't look good or like straight. So Bobby was just like very OCD about it, and he fixed it. And then but yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And like the holidays came, and being able to spend time with my dog before she passed, and going through that just to like um going through the process of like putting her down and all that, it was tough, for a while. So I extended my hiatus. Um, but yeah, so let's see. I think I'm going through this a lot quicker than I thought. There was other things that happened this year. There was also, oh yeah, my sister's wedding. How can I forget about that? I went back to my sister's wedding back in like June, July-ish. Um, it was a quick weekend. And so that was a very fun weekend. Um, but yeah, my sister got married this year, and then uh I want to shout out to like some of the artists that was on my show, like Victor being one of the big ones that I spoke to this year. And um being able to have him twice on the show, it was really cool just to like have another Hmong artist on here. And I really enjoy speaking with like Hmong content creators or Hmong artists that are not just, excuse me, that are not just like catering to the Hmong community or the Hmong crowd. So he's definitely one that I enjoy having on the show. So shout out to you, Victor. Shout out to Clark. He was one of the first few people that I met when I moved to Texas here. I didn't even know he was an artist. So you can hear all that story back on my episode with him. Just a lot of things just happened this year, and I think that whether it was good or it was bad, or like the highs and lows, like a lot of self growth was one thing I had to do this year, just to kind of like you know look back and think about like the choices I make. Who does it affect? How do I manage my time, my finances now? Like it's like the real life ordeal kind of hit me hard, because like in my 20s I was very selfish and I just did whatever the fuck I wanted. And then it wasn't until losing my dad where I started seeing that, oh shit, man, this is not a game. Like being as old as I am, like, and still having that immature mindset, it showed me where I was in my life. And so I think that like after losing my dad and then like going through all this stuff here in Texas, like whether both good and bad, it made me grow up really fast and kind of just appreciate a lot of the things that's happened, even if it's, again, happy, sad, or whatever. It's good to know that I have people in my life that'll support me. And I think having that kind of like, I guess, not confirmation is not the word, but just having that support really helps in the long run. And that's why I really enjoy living with like my cousin Michael, or living here with Bobby and Lynn, because like they see what I do here with this podcast. Even if I'm not making money, or like even if I'm not like at 1,000 subscribers, or having a huge following, like they see the work that I put in. And every time I share with them, I'm like, look, I got this person on the podcast, I got this person on the podcast. It's always like they're always supporting me, like, man, like, great job, or that's amazing, that keep up and keep it up, don't quit, keep trying. So like it's really good to have this kind of positive encouragement or positive reinforcement, and not to feel like I'm doing all of this on my own. And so it's really good to just have a good support group. And seeing that like and seeing that they believe in me is what really helps me to not quit. again, like I was never going to quit, but like it's just it encourages me to keep trying and to keep doing better. There are times where like I get so just tired of like doing this stuff when it comes to editing and when it comes to like networking. I hate it because it's a skill set that I'm not good at, but they help me. My cousins help me a lot with that. And then even with the setup I have here now, if it wasn't for Lynn, I probably wouldn't have a nice setup like this. Bobby helped me buy this my tables, and then she helped me with the monitors and the docking station. I don't even know any of this shit, so they helped me a lot with that. So thank you to you both for that. What else do I want to talk about? There was also like, besides the holidays, oh yeah, I turned 30 this year. Yeah, that was a big milestone for me. I think for anyone really, but turning 30 and then realizing where I am in my life was like both bittersweet, because I thought that at least being by 30 by now, I'd have my life in order. Like I thought I'd be living on my own, with a semi decent job and being able to just like support myself. But that's not the case. And I think it's safe to say that a lot of people in their 30s are not like a lot of people in their 30s are not exactly in the same boat where they think they should be at. But that shouldn't discourage one to not try or to not keep pushing forward in their life. Um, I think that turning 30 for me was a huge deal, because I was so worried that, I remember talking to like one of my cousins and their girlfriend, and just like in a way venting, because I was a bit drunk. I was venting and saying like, I'm worried because like even at 30, like my dad had his shit together and I'm nowhere near that. And I think that was one thing that really scared me this year, was that like turning 30. I joke about like my bones breaking at 30, but like really it was more so that what if I don't get my shit together by the time I'm that age? And then look where I'm at now. I'm struggling here and I have nothing, and like I'm just a starving artist. That's the kind of term I guess I like to say use nowadays, because being a starving artist is what a lot of content creators are, unless you have money. But again, a lot of pressure from that, and then just trying to succeed in doing something that I enjoy, and then also working a regular job, trying to support myself. Like a lot of small things like that added up, and I think kind of just like in a sense broke me a little bit. And then again, having a strong support group really helps in the long run, because I don't know, man, like a lot of like, I guess I could be open here, like a lot of dark thoughts has crossed my mind a lot this year. And there were just moments where like I was ready, like not to go or not to commit a move or anything like that, but like there was like times where I wasn't afraid. That's the best way I can say. Like there was times where like I was not afraid to do something, and whether it like hurt someone or hurt myself, like I wasn't scared to do it. Like I had some dark motives or dark moves in that sense, where I didn't think twice when I should have, and it's like vice versa, where the things that I shouldn't think twice and I think twice about. And so like it's been confusing at times this year, but all in all, I think this overall move to Texas has been the biggest and the best thing that I've ever done in my life. Um, Staying in Michigan was not going to help me or my family out. But again, like I've said before, and this has been some of the best things that I've done. Like I've gone to so many conventions this year that, excuse me, I've gone to so many conventions this year that I'm like conned out. Like I don't even want to go to as many cons as I did this year, next year. Like I just want to hit up like Fan Expo, because I know I want to see the event there and see what they do next year. Maybe hit up ACON again. Um and then oh, my cousin Bobby got me San Diego Comic-Con tickets for Christmas. One of the best gifts ever. And yeah, I got all 4 days. So I'm going to be going there. That's the big one that I'm saving up for. And I'm just going to go as an attendee. I'm not even doing podcast stuff for that event. And speaking of this, one of Bobby's best friends, Belky, hooked me up with I don't know if you can see it on this video here, Blackpink. I got Blackpink tickets to this year too, and I got to see them in person. Like I like their music, but I'm not like the biggest fan either. But I just went because he was like, I have an extra VIP ticket. Consider this your early birthday present. Go. So I went. So thank you, Boki, for um just thank you for giving me that opportunity to go see one of the biggest K-pop groups of all time. It's something I can never repay back. That's like one of the biggest things that's ever happened for me. And then speaking of another big thing, man, like I got to meet Chuck Norris this year. Like Chuck fucking Norris, the fucking fucking Walker Texas Ranger. I got to meet Chuck Norris a few weeks ago at the Louisville City Mall. Like I saw their the Dallas Comic Convention or Dallas Comic Show. Yeah, Dallas Comic Show's promoted post on Instagram, and I text all my family members. I was like, hey, let's go meet Chuck Norris, and so some of us went, and then it was so surreal because like this man has been alive, when my dad was still young, and all I could think about when meeting Chuck Norris, all I could think about was my dad, my cousin Hmong, my grandpa on my mom's side. Like they were some of the biggest Chuck Norris fans. Even just like joking about Chuck Norris jokes with his staff was funny. But just meeting Chuck Norris in person, I was so again like starstruck again. I was so starstruck. I shook his hand. I was just like, it's an honor to meet you, sir. Like I didn't even like mention the podcast. I didn't mention Chuck Norris jokes. I nothing like I was just so caught off guard by just meeting this dude and like doing the like a standing like a fight pose with him. So meeting him was by far one of the best things ever. And yeah, it was really cool. And speaking of the Louisville City Mall, like I like that they do small conventions there because it's also a dog friendly mall, and it's also like a great use of the building, like of the mall, to do conventions like that to bring in people. I think that's a very smart move. So if anyone's like going to the mall still, or if there's any people who works at owns malls, just start doing conventions there. That's the best way you'll start bringing in people. Because I got to meet the voice of Beerus there too, Jason Douglas, and he was really cool too. Very tall. I didn't think he was gonna be that tall, but he did a shout out for me too. So that was really cool just to go to that mall there and being able to meet as many cool people as I did. But yeah, I don't think that's the end yet, but excuse me. I guess I could start talking about like what my plans are for 2023. Been watching a lot of anime again, picking back up like My Hero. I finished Chainsaw Man. We're waiting. Me and Michael are waiting for Gundam to come back. Watched a few slice of life stuff. I'm still like midway through Aharon-san, and there's also was it the Lovers But Not a Married Couple anime? There's that, and then Shikamori's Not a Cutie. That I'm a few episodes in those, and being able to speak with those voice actors has been very cool. Molly Zhang is probably one of my favorites this year, just because like I wasn't expecting much because I was just nervous talking to her because like she's definitely one of the more up and coming and newer voice actors, so I wasn't sure how to like speak with her in a sense of like in credits wise, like she has gaming credits and a few roles here and there, but like being able to just hear her thoughts and get her perspective on just voice acting in general was a very good conversation. So definitely check out that episode if you haven't. And again, thank you Molly Jong for giving me recommendations on who to reach out to. I cannot wait to see if they reply back or not. But yeah, starting with 2023, I do want to get back into being consistent with the content again, trying to do at least 2 weekly episodes. I think earlier this year I was pushing like trying to push two episodes a week, and that was just too much work. So definitely try to just go back and try to do once a week, or at least push out episodes as much as I can before I get too many to edit. Definitely pre-recording still, but I do not want to like set episodes too far out. Like I think there was one episode where I set out like to like July, even though I recorded it back in March. And so I don't think I want to do episodes like that again. It was just way too it was difficult trying to set up the right time to upload episodes. I look at my overall like statistics and stuff. I could have done more. As much as I put out this year, I feel like I could have done more, but I didn't. I'm not saying that I'm not proud of what I did this year, but I definitely want to try to push myself to try to meet a certain goal, or at least like try to meet a certain episode's goal, or try to meet like a certain guest goal, something small like that. Because I think if I didn't take the hiatuses that I did, I mean, even though it was personal, if I didn't take certain hiatuses, I probably could have pushed out a lot more episodes this year. But I gotta see, going from episode 106 to 140 for 2022, that's what, 34 episodes. It's a little more than half of the year, so that's still not too bad. But I think I probably could have pushed more. I probably could have tried to at least get 40 episodes in the year. So maybe I can try to do that next year, but we'll see with how things go. Because again, with San Diego Comic Con, and then like with trying to do press, and then like family stuff, like I hopefully I can try to push out as much content as I can. But yeah, so starting with 2023, I'll be doing a Chainsaw Man season 1 review with my cousins, and possibly my cousin, or not cousin, but my nephew Logan. He's reading the manga already, so hopefully he doesn't spoil. But like, we're gonna be talking about season 1, and then there's also gonna be the Spy Family season 1 core 2 review that I have with me and my cousins. Depending on who replies back to my emails, I may switch that number up, but for now, those are the 2 episodes that are coming up first for the beginning of 2023. There's also, I can't say yet exactly, but I do have like some actors lined up, some artists lined up for January and February. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Spoiler Force so far, like the updates for 2023. I am still in the process and working on trying to get a PC built, so I can try to do some Twitch streaming and play some games on my free time, even though I don't game as much anymore. I do want to try to find a way to build a community there too. I definitely want to increase my community next year. I don't want to set a certain goal, because if I don't meet it or reach that goal, it's going to be very discouraging for myself. So I just want to at least see some growth more next year. Um, Definitely hit up the more bigger conventions, not too many small ones. That way I can save money, and just hopefully I can make myself better as a person, physically and mentally as well, just to kind of grow from these experiences that's been happening for the past 2 years now. Just so many, as those memes are, like like there's this meme that says, or there's this meme that shows someone calling, and he's like calling God to make sure that I'm on the not on the trials and tribulation list. So that's how I feel like right now. Like, I'm just hoping that next year I can at least see some positive or more positive things or outcomes for myself and for the podcast, and not just continue to be struggling all the damn time. So so here's to the amazing 2022, even though there was a bunch of ups and downs. um I gotta say, I'm very proud of myself, and I'm very happy and appreciative to my families again, to my family and to my supporters, to all my friends that I've made this year, or people that I got to know this year, to all the guests on the podcast, just being able to just speak with people in general, and to learn and to grow. I just hope that next year will be more abundant. And then, yeah, I think I've covered most of everything. I mean, I'm pretty sure I missed out quite a few things. Probably missed out on quite a few names that I should have mentioned, but I think that's it, man, for this episode. I want to get back into doing more reviews too. I know that there's a Bullet Train review that's long overdue for myself. I haven't forgotten about that yet. And there's also some of the superhero reviews that I need to do as well. Um, I think that's pretty much it, man. I don't have much left to say, because I'm just going to be repeating myself in circles. So to anyone who is watching this episode, thank you for the love, and I hope that whoever is listening to this, please do not quit on yourself, because I have not quit on myself yet. As much as I want to, at times I don't. So please don't quit on yourself. If you need someone to talk to, please find friends or family to speak with. If you don't have friends or family to speak with, you're always welcome to speak to me through like my Facebook page on for the Spoiler First page, uh, or on Instagram, or you can even find my email and speak to me, if you want to. But there's thank you to everyone, and again, shout out to everyone, and I do want to shout out my boy Julian Hester from What's in My Head podcast too, because he's been on a roll for the past year or two, and even when I'm on my hiatuses, like, he checks up on me, and he also supports and shares my stuff. And as someone who is a friend of his and fellow podcaster, I feel guilty for not sharing his stuff either from time to time. And so shout out to you, Julian, and Larry too, and for being like some of the greatest associates and podcast and fellow podcasters and content creators that I've known, for the past 2 years now. These guys put in the work, and they deserve everything that's coming to them, because in a good way, because they work hard, they bust their ass off, and they still find time to do amazing things with their family too. So shout out to you guys. Again, I can't say it enough, man. Thank you guys so much for just this year. I really hope that next year will be just better in general. I've learned from 2020 to not set high expectations, because everyone was claiming that 2020 was their year, and then look what happened. So no more doing that. I'm just going to just hope for the best, and hopefully things will come into fruition, and hopefully I get to get some of these actors on my show that I have listed, and that I have emailed. And again, if you know somebody or know a way to get James Arnold Taylor and Rob Paulson on my show, please help me do that. That would mean the world to me. Again, if I get these two on my show, I will happily quit podcasting. I can tell you that right now. If Rob Paulson and James Arnold Taylor are on my show, I could happily quit, and I could stop doing this. But until then, I will keep doing this podcast stuff. So thank you guys so much, and have a great day. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to give a review and rate Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want to get all Spoiler Force updates or even peeks at behind the scenes, you can join the Spoiler Force Discord community. And if you'd like to show support, give tips, recommendations, sponsorships, or any collaborations, you can email me at rickyvang92@gmail.com.